Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to Germany, welcome to the launch of BMW's R1300R. Now, I'm guessing that you're not fully shocked by the fact that BMW have done a 1300 Boxer in the R1300R, because we all saw it coming. We did the GS 1300 in both adventure and as standard. We loved the bike, we enjoyed the bike, we rode it off-road, on-road, in Spain, in Germany, in the UK. We've ridden it extensively. So when BMW unveiled the 1300R, we weren't exactly bowled over with the decision to put a 1300 to replace the old 1250. But we are impressed and we are bowled over by the look, the style and the appeal of the 1300R. What BMW have done is really up the ante in terms of its appeal, its sportiness, its style and its kind of looks. And I think they've really hit on something really strong with the 1300R. I kind of love this kind of one-piece kind of sweep back look of the 1300R. I love the twin exhaust with a gap in between. I love the fact we've kept a single-sided swinging arm. I love the fact they've got those beautiful wheels. They've really gone to town with the design and made the 1250 seem very old very quickly. The old 1250 is a great bike. I've ridden the 1250 loads and I really love Boxer engines. I actually own an RT. But you would never describe the old bike as fun, exciting, and it never had that kind of Sunday morning, open the garage door, wow factor. And I think the 1300R does. What it also does, it has significantly more power and more torque than the previous bike. When you ride the 1300R in the standard road mode, the electronic suspension is quite plush, it's quite soft, it's quite easy going, so is the fueling, so is the power delivery. It feels very much like the 1250 in the standard road mode. But if you tick the optional boxes and you go for Dynamic and Dynamic Pro, then you go into an area where the 1250 was never really capable of. Because we're up in power, up to 144 horsepower from 134. We're increased in Newton meters from 143 to 149. We've got more power, more torque in a more stylish, more aggressive, more dynamic chassis. And that really works. So when you're in that Dynamic Pro, it's very much a different bike to the 1250. In terms of what we've got, this is the performance package. So that means we've got slightly different suspension to standard. It's 10 mil slightly taller. We've got the sports seat, we've got the sports pillion seat, and we've got the sports styling. So it handles and it's more agile than the standard bike, and the seat height is a little higher. If you want to go for the standard bike, which is a little bit lower with the softer seat, then you don't get the agility and the ground clearance as the sports bike, but it all depends on what type of bike you want. And that's one of the beauties of the 1300R, is that you can start to tick a few boxes, you can start to choose which way you want to go with the 1300R. What BMW have done here is ticked every box possible and given us the sportiest bike possible. Brakes are worth a mention, really strong. They are linked. And in the Dynamic and Dynamic Pro, the link is nice and progressive and it's nice and easy. However, for me, in the standard road mode, when you apply the back, it applies too much front. Aside from the brakes, with the back applying the front, for me, the only other niggle is price that will come onto. In terms of quality, in terms of switchgear, in terms of what you get for your money, then it does feel premium, it does feel quality. It's typical BMW switchgear, which we're really familiar with across the GS range. It's very intuitive, it's very simple, it's very easy to use. You can go from a sporty chassis that shows lean angle and brake pressure and how much traction control you're using, to a very touring chassis that shows your range and MPG and all those boring facts you don't really want to know about. But it's got that beautiful balance of being functional and everyday bike and being sporty and being fun and being agile. There's moments on this bike where I was really surprised by how much torque and how much drive it's got. If you want to ride it really sporty, then it does rev out a little bit at 8.5, 9,000 RPM. You can't expect like an over rev that you would on other nakeds like the S1000R or M1000R, for example. But the big sticking point for me is, where does it fit in the competition and where does it fit on price? For a lot of people who bought the 1250 Boxer, I think they never looked at any other bike because they wanted a Boxer. And I think there's a lot of people who are just going to go, I want a 1300R Boxer, and there is no competition because I want a BMW Boxer. But there are other people who are going to look at price and go, okay, the base bike is just over £13,000. And then if you go to the SE model, that's £15,500. But if you tick all the boxes and you go for the bike that we have here with the full performance, dynamic and comfort package, you're looking at £18,650 in the UK, which is a lot of price for a 145 horsepower naked bike. Now that might seem a little bit brutal, and to a lot of owners, they're not going to care because the retention price is going to stay, the quality and the feel of this bike is deservedly of that higher asking price. But you can't ignore the fact that at over £18,500, we're getting into the competition of other bikes in the naked class which have more power and are sporty. But are those customers going to be looking at KTM Super Dukes? Are they going to be looking at S1000Rs, or are they just going to be looking at the Boxer? That'll be the interesting point, and I'm looking forward to reading all your comments below and seeing what you think. Is that price too high, set about right, or would you be looking at other bikes in this competition? But what we can say, we can't fully comment on price and competition because that's down to individual choice and how much money you've got in the savings and how much you want to dip into your kids' college funds. But what we can say is that BMW have significantly improved the appeal, they've significantly improved the style, they've improved the performance, they've improved the handling, they've proved what the bike is capable of. If you ride it in the standard road mode, it's a good looking, quality feeling 1250 GS. If you click it into dynamic, it offers something more that the 1250 never could. And in terms of style, in terms of looks, and in terms of appeal, I think BMW have done something really special with the 1300R. But time will tell. Is that price too high? Are people going to be stampeding to the BMW dealerships? Are they going to be going for the base bike at just over 13? Or are they going to be ticking every accessory box and paying close to 19? Time will tell. Looking forward to reading your comments below, so please fire away. And don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one.